Stephen Smith's 100th Test match. And it's just past 9,000 test runs and 174 innings. I mean, a little bit of interference, though.
Well, I suspect it's coming from Lobby's end. Lobby, we know you're there. We'll shout you the
Yeah,
I suspect it's coming from Lobby's end.
Yeah, there's a reception is bad.
You know, if not disturbing. Anyhow, so just giving you a little synopsis of the test match that lost today. Second day's play, Australia 416. They were skittled out this morning in the pre-lunch session, scoring just 70 odd more for 5 more wickets. So today I would think would be an England's day, as England scored good reply 250 odd or thereabouts for just 4 wickets. So that test match seems just a slight edge, I would say, gone to England. However, things can change overnight. If conditions are overcast and the ball starts swinging, it becomes a different ball game. In England, when you have the sun shining and things are okay, the pitches seem to be different. So in a test match, that's the beauty of test cricket. Matches from session to session, certainly day to day, the pitch can play differently and you have different nuances and things happening. So that's what the beauty, ebbs and flow of test cricket. 5 days and so many different things can happen over the duration of the 5 days. So just remember too that last week we had no program, so we couldn't celebrate, if you would use that word, the Australian victory. A very narrow victory by 2 wickets, but still they won the first test match. One of the more gripping test matches followed. Australia and England was in the balance most throughout the 5 days. But in the end, Australia prevailed and won by 2 wickets, with Khawaja scoring 141 and 65. So Australia are 1 match up. And remember, of course, they beat India in what they call the ultimate test, the test championship. So Australia are, without any doubt, the deserving of the title of test cricket champions. So test cricket began in 1877, and now they have the test championship. So congrats to Australia as they beat India in that test match. So also they won the first test, but they might be in slight trouble in the second test thus far. But of course, the third day tomorrow, we'll see what happens. But there's a big thing that happened that Lyon, their famous off-spinner, who is now on 496 wickets, had a bit of a calf injury. And we don't know exactly the enormity of that injury. If he's sidelined, he's a key figure in the chances of Australia whipping England in the Ashes. So let's hope for good news tomorrow for Nathan Lyon. 496 test wickets. Steve Smith, as I said, scored his 32nd test century in his 99th test match. I think he's the fastest to reach 9,000 runs, or maybe the second fastest after Sangakkara. Sometime later, I'll give you the list of the 10 top scorers in the history of test cricket. And Lara and Shanapol are back-to-back. They're about usually top 10. Smith, of course, is at 9,000. Is still not so very far, but he's not in the top 10 in the world history. So Joe Root, of course, has become the 10th. He surpassed Alan Border, and Joe Root now is safely and soundly in the top 10. Right. England now also, cricket women, England women they were beaten by Australia in the Ashes Test match. It's a multi-format Ashes Test series. They play only 1 Test match. And I think 3 one-days or 3 T20s and 2 ODIs. So it's a multi-format Ashes series they play. And Australia beat England in the Test match they played at, I think it was at Trent Bridge. Some lady called Beaumont for England scored a double century. In fact, big scores. Australia scored 474, England replied 464. But in the second innings, England was set 260 or so to win, and they lost by 89 runs. Billy called Gardner, off-spinner of Australia, took 13 wickets in the match, 8 for 65 in the second innings. Right, and in the World Cup qualifiers, history was made. A magnificent match was played with West Indies in the end, suffering defeat. What a match. West Indies playing. They lost to Zimbabwe by 34 runs. And then they went to play the Netherlands. And the West Indies notched up 374. You would think they were safe with 374. But Netherlands, in a strong reply, they tied the match. Scored exactly 374 for 9 wickets. And there was supposed to be a super over to determine the winner of the match. In that super over, the batsman, whose name I can't quite remember now, but I'll try to get it for you a bit later, magnificently hit 30 runs in the super over. Every ball went to the boundary. I think there were 3 sixes and 3 fours. And West Indies, in reply, were 8 for 2. So the Netherlands, following up on Zimbabwe's victory over West Indies, Netherlands also. So therefore, since have lost both 2 of the stronger teams in the matches or the qualifying matches there. So that's it. West Indies not doing too well at all, and it's left to be seen if they can qualify to make the World Cup in India later this year. Local, can they qualify still?
Well, we need to spend some time tonight and discuss not only that, about West Indies,
I think
over there.
Right, the decline of West Indies
cricket
from 19 there.
In fact, today they named 18 people for the camp in Antigua starting tomorrow. Alican and Hodge, both of them left this afternoon to Antigua. So we
I was thinking of that. Yeah,
because we need to discuss that. The way West Indies have declined, the problems, administration, and all that sort of thing.
You're on the same level as me.
Yeah.
I thought about that. We must spend some time.
A lot of time.
Because people coming on today have no idea of the glory days of the great West Indies team.
If West Indies don't qualify, that will be the first time in 48 years, 25 and 48 years, West Indies will have not qualified. First time they'll miss the World Cup. Since inception in 75. West Indies won in 75, 79, reached the final 83. They have always been in the World Cup. So if they don't qualify, and
I was thinking
Thompson Fountain might join us when we have in that.
No, this is a serious thing. The West Indies
very serious. So we have to spend time on that.
It boils on infamy and disgrace. West Indies, we'll talk about in their glory days.
In fact, after the break, we should start with that.
Yeah, definitely.
After our first break,
I was thinking it's very same way.
Yeah, we should spend time on West Indies cricket.
Go back to the beginning of West Indies cricket
because,
in the 1920s.
What I want to say, and sometimes politicians, if you sports and culture, entertainment really, that is what identifies with West Indian people.
Mm-hmm.
If you are in Australia or in England or in India, and you ask a guy about Jamaica, who would he be mentioning?
Bobby.
Bob
Marley.
Exactly. And Usain Bolt.
And Usain Bolt. Right. Marley and Bolt.
They won't be telling you about doctor so and so.
They give you a cultural figure or sports figure.
Similarly, if you ask about Antigua, they'll tell you about Vivian Richards. You go to Trinidad, you'll hear about the Mighty Sparrow, Brian Lara.
Or Lara.
Or Lara. You go to Barbados. So that is why the politicians must understand what sports and
significance
culture,
of
the significance brings to Caribbean people. And in fact, I heard Rowley brought up some nonsense. We'll talk about that as well.
Rowley of Trinidad.
Because you remember it was Rowley, the one from St. Vincent, Gonzalez, Skip Mitchell. They were after Dave Cameron, you remember?
Right.
They were leading this charge to get rid of Dave Cameron.
Very correct.
Since Dave, and in fact, you and Low Black supported when Skerritt and Shallow came in. I remember right on this program. Since Dave Cameron.
Which Skerritt? Be careful, you know. I just Skerritt.
Rick, by the way, he presented. There was some diplomatic passport that were presented.
I heard about that.
We'll talk about that as well.
That too.
We'll talk about that. Yes. But that's what I'm saying. Sports culture, you identify Caribbean people, and that's how important it is. And You give Afanas a diplomatic passport. Where he's from, they haven't played cricket there for years in Grande. Look at this.
I'm on the proper ground.
On the playing field, which was a big playing field.
Yes.
So that is why all this hypocrisy, you hear people did this and that.
Yeah.
And then, mark me, I have no problem. Anything a sports person gets, I welcome that.
Yeah.
Because, sports people, the lives of sports people are short.
But you want things to be genuine.
Genuine. So that's why. But also, by the way, before we go, I want to show you, I want you to read this. I want you to read this. Seeing it?
Is it true Ozzy's past?
Ozzy, listen, let me tell you, I'm glad you read it.
Yeah.
So on Tuesday night, I got up. If you notice, I saw a missed call on my phone. And then just after, so I hit my phone beep. And I'm reading that. Is it true Ozzy's past? So what is it? So
right away, an exam?
No, you died. In other words, you're going to have to use a local language, a lave for you. I saw that.
I'm like Sparrow, man. People call Sparrow's death 10 times before he died. Sparrow dead. Every year Sparrow dead.
So when I saw that,
like Sparrow.
I'm saying, you hear your phone and something like that. The first thing you start talking, you say, well, what the hell is that?
Seriously, who?
Well, I wouldn't call the person's name.
Yeah.
So when I saw that, so when you get a news like that, so you see and you don't know what the hell you're doing.
Yeah.
So I said, no. Ozzy died.
And what time of night it was news?
25 to 9. I get the person calls at 25 past 8. I miss the call and then text me, is it true Ozzy passed? So I'm saying Ozzy passed. So no, I do not want to call you or something. So I say I have to find out something.
Yes.
So I'm there panicking, wondering what the hell is this. So I call the person who sent that. I say, but where you got that information from? Ozzy died. I mean, what kind of thing is that? So the person said, yes, somebody that. Blackie laughing. I said, no, man, that's terrible.
Well, that's very serious.
You don't give that kind of news to somebody. So when I investigate it, so I tell the caller, I say, well, that's a hoax. You don't just send information like that on text. I mean, that was shocking.
And you know who will send that to you?
Of course, I call you. I know who said it. I call the person. I tell the person, but you don't.
Where you got that from?
Where you get that Ozzy died and Ozzy, if like somebody call you and tell you. Ozzy, Sibo died.
Sibo died, yes.
You wonder what the hell is this. So I said, but people don't send kind of news like that.
Well, I read that thing and I couldn't believe I'm reading that, see that in black and white.
That's why I told you to read it.
You read myself.
You read yourself. That's almost had a love for you.
I wonder, I don't know.
Yes,
what could have given them that?
I don't know where they got that story, man. I mean, and in fact, a thing like that shocks you. You because I know or he's okay, and then you just get the news. Ozzy Lewis has passed. Is it true? He's dead. So I say,
just seeing that alone is frightening by itself,
Lovely, good night, by the way.
Good. Yes, Sebastian. 2 weeks ago, the reception was perfect. I find today it has gone back the same old ways again. On and
when
off.
you're dealing with technology, that will happen, But Ozzy, while we're here, and I know you were always, we spoke about it on Sport Drop, about this Byron thing. Sports Drop can go on record that we're against this.
From the inception.
As well as Zahn program, that is the
consensus movement.
Ozzy,
always against.
I remember it was a Friday, the night after we spoke about Byron. Somebody very society called me and said, Sibo, Byron mightn't be the person you all think he is.
Yeah.
I said, listen, that is a nonsense to have Dennis Byron. Nobody. So the person said, no, but so I called the person this week, and the person said to me, yeah, boy, Sibo, Mr. Really, let us down.
I'm not surprised.
I said, oh, you all could be. I said, the man got 600 and something.
Yeah.
We don't know if he got more on the privately. I'm not saying that, by the way.
Yeah.
We don't
know what he's paid.
We don't know how much you have paid or if he got extra pay or whatever. But there nobody should have entertained this guy by going to meet with him.
Yeah.
And now, if this thing the guy has proposed, Dominic will be in a worse situation than Dominica.
That's why, to use Linton's term, as electoral deform.
I mean,
deform.
And it is on beyond. In fact, I called Pastor Rod himself and I said to him, I saw you going to receive a copy. And the guy, and I remember saying to him, man, going to meet this man to discuss what? Why you have to meet
a lot
Byron?
of people felt that Byron
was this upcoming, outstanding guy and so on, and he would give you something good. And really, Ozzy, it is a disgrace, you know what this guy
Byron is a study in infamy, in notoriety, ignominy, disgrace, and dishonor.
That's how
I sum him up.
Byron.
A study in infamy, notoriety, ignominy, disgrace, and dishonor.
My good, we have a call. Let's talk about also you are. We'll come back to that. Good night.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Yeah, opening batswoman, opening batter. Yeah. Good night, ma'am.
She put the same message you got. I got maybe that same night.
Oh, that he was dead. That Ozzy was dead.
Yes.
Well.
So I see that on my phone. I say what? I said that's not true because I would hear my phone tell me so that my phone would be ringing and screaming. But I know that wasn't true. So next I call the person. I tell the person, I would know that. Doesn't matter what time it happened, in the middle of the night or the morning, I would get that and I would get that message.
But look, 5 different messages that from people are saying they got that same message that you died.
You serious?
Yeah, people are texting me.
What? That's
that happened to me a couple months ago during the COVID.
I hope you're not being prophetic. You know?
No. On the contrary, Ozzy, when they pronounce your death, all people tell you live longer.
Is that right?
Yeah. My phone keep ringing.
Because Sparrow is still alive.
Exactly. Blue, what you said?
That person calling me from England. Another person called me. I was like, what they're speaking to me? You okay? And I tell them, yes, I okay. Another one called me. You good? I say, yes, I good. Only to find out some woman that died of COVID. And they find that lady was looking like me and people said I was dead. And people keep calling me that night. I must have gotten about 7 or 8 calls that night for people to really hear. You okay? You not on the phone? Yes, I'm on the phone. I say, wow. And to call my son and tell to put that on Facebook for me because the person calling him and tell him I said, buy him puppy.
What about last night or 2 nights?
No, since Tuesday night.
It's Tuesday night.
Sometimes people have to be, with the length in our life, we have a lot to live again.
Yeah. No, but seriously, all people say when that happens, you live longer. Yeah, but another caller. Good night.
Yes, you
hey, Boko.
Man, me can say, but not you say I did there.
Say that again?
Man, me didn't hear and tell me, but not you say I did there. I say what? But they tell me you just bring for his mom there, and I'm lost. Not anything I say yes, but not me.
Yeah, it's something. No, but Ozzy, that really, I was stunned. I tell you when I got that. Another caller. Good night.
Honorable gentlemen, thank you for service rendered to people and country.
Yes,
it
sir.
is always embarrassing when you send out mixed signal like that, particularly when you send out a message that is not sure. It's always good to verify. But I also want to commend us, and I want to say that person was giving you more life, more health, more strength, more glory with you. And those are the only thing the elderly people always do when people come up to them more life. So especially to be there with us for a very long time to continue to be such an honorable man who has done so much for Dominica. I congratulate you all, and I am giving all of you your flowers while you are alive, because too many times we allow people to get your dream, and after coming hypocrite trying to he was a good person, she was a good person. Take a bow on the gentleman.
Thank you very much. Yeah, but also going back to this thing, you know, it is a shame that a man who was a president of the CCJ, who was held high as it could stoop to that level to give a report where it favors or he was told to do what and present that
ethically wrong.
Yes,
it's ethically wrong.
But why did you? There was no reason to bring this guy. I mean, there have been enough people in Dominica that could have done that. But what I feel is that they get this guy. So when it comes nonsense, they just go in parliament. They'll say, "Oh, it's this guy."
It's luminary guy. So right away,
let's get this clear. Somebody wrote to me from California. Hear that, across the U.S. on the West Coast, telling me based on what they heard about this Byron man before this final report came out, him being a legal luminary.
Yes.
Right now, he's not even a bright Lalo.
But this man has put everything in disarray now. That's what he has done.
Yeah,
To me, that's more confusion now.
Yeah.
Because I'm hearing now some minister is a doctor who's going around has to go around the country now.
Yeah.
Present. I mean, really, it is not a
But
shame.
I mean, the government has got a myriad copies of election, OAS,
Exactly.
all kind of organizations. Professionals, people who
on the subject.
Yeah,
on the subject.
For years, they discarded it. And according to a guy, and I think Jason Jesus said so, that security went shopping. Went shopping.
But you can go shopping if you open it to everybody, but not go shopping for a particular thing.
Yeah.
We have a caller. We'll come back. Good night.
Shopping, he called it. Shopping.
Good night.
Judge shopping.
That is why when he sent that thing to Byron, he wanted Mr. Linton
To agree with it without, just sign and agree with it, yes.
Anything, as soon as it comes, we go straight to Parliament. If we take it, Mr. Linton, because he hasn't got 6 doctorate, he think he would sign it.
Yeah, but that would be disastrous if he had done that.
What it content before we sign not say anything about it. And that's exactly what happened. Now the man finding $750,000. This is chicken feed to pay Byron for what Byron did for him. That's not nonsense.
Yeah. Well, if you have plenty money for yourself, you can say 700,000 chicken feed. If you load it, you can say like another color. Good night.
It's not your personal money.
Yeah. Good night.
Yes, hello.
Yes, gentlemen. Sibo and Ozzy, good evening.
Good night,
good evening.
And to the man Lumpy for holding it down.
And Lobbies as well.
Guys, I'm glad you mentioned what you mentioned. The status of West Indies cricket in its heyday, and then you mentioned the ambassadorship thing. And I'm listening to you all saying the exact same thing that I said. Like, people, you just said something. Them guys haven't played in the prospective era for so long. And it's not only because them guys don't want to play, but there are no facilities. The government and the region on the whole don't take sports as a serious discipline as it is. Like Sibo, you said, basically music and sports is what sells the Caribbean. Without that, it's nothing else. All the tourists that's coming, they're not just coming to the beach, but they're coming for the vibes of the people and this kind of things that bring them to the island so they enjoy the beach and the hotel. That's all we have. But guys, I like the fact that you bring it up because people are ignored until they become accomplished. And after you accomplish without the help of the surrounding governments and everything, then they want to be jumping in and get the accolades. Fellas, I'm listening. Thank you tonight.
Yeah, thank you, caller.
But also, as I said, this thing has put everything in disarray now.
Yeah.
People now are confused.
But from the outset, I said that cannot be. So scared to get somebody to compile a report unfavorable to him, and he's paying, and he chose you,
But also that couldn't fool anybody. Anybody with a modicum common sense.
From the outset, it was unconstitutional. It was wrong to do it. Where's the Electoral Commission?
No, but I'm glad you come to that. But to me,
ridiculous.
If I was in the Electoral Commission, I'd resign now.
But Byron should know better than that from the outset. It's like, I cannot take a contraction. It's unethical and immoral. I can't do it. My stature will. And
I blame the people too who went and met with Byron.
Yes.
Who met with him. I blame all of them.
Legitimize it.
You all know who I'm talking to.
Yeah.
All of them who sat with Byron.
I remember speaking to many of them. I said, nonsense.
In fact, I remember Several Mackenzie.
That's a guy. Several Mackenzie.
So when I spoke to him, Sibo, I said, listen to what?
Yes.
And I will call Edison James tonight. We said, good night. I remember it was he who called me. And I spoke to him this week, and he said to me, Byron has fooled him. He said that to me. Because, they should never have gone to this
Byron could never fool me.
Fool
me either.
From the word go, I found it was wrong. And if something is wrong, I can't support. As me of the list, cannot support it. Will not support.
But nobody should support that.
Nonsense.
Look at you, gentlemen, of sports.
What's your legacy? What's your name, boy?
Exactly.
Your name is worth 50 million, thousands.
Then let's break it down for the ordinary man. You gentlemen are very experienced sports people's experience. You're the captain of a cricket team. You select the referee. You select the team.
Yeah.
You're playing, and I have to play against you.
Yeah.
And will I ever win?
Yeah.
And I cannot imagine
umpires playing on the other side.
Yeah.
Umpires how can you beat a team when the umpires are playing for the other side?
Yeah.
But what I'm saying, why did it have to take all that and so long? We have to get somebody. People have been years now.
See, but from the outside, you and I were against that.
I would
I know the
never
word I said was tomfoolery to do that.
Yeah,
you
But
know.
I should even
That's the word
flog
you-
this man.
That's the word I used. I remember the word I used, tomfoolery.
We have a caller.
I mean, that's ridiculous, man.
Good night.
It's shameful.
Good evening, gentlemen.
It's shameful.
Good
It's
evening.
shame.
Gentlemen, like I've said before, and I'm saying it again, that nobody can come except God. God is the only person that can tell me now that this Roosevelt carried this guy and this Dennis, the man, it was premeditated. And the people of Dominica should not accept that. I've said it before, Scary is an idiot. But I don't want to tell people that as soon as you get that report, you're going to go straight to
Go to Parliament. That's the sign.
Dude, are you serious, dude? Come on. The people of Dominica need to take this to the next level. Gary, Dominica does not belong to you, and then it's the menace. People, all you know what next. Take care now.
But you know what is even worse? To tell people they must go in different cities to register people.
Yeah,
Can you
overseas
imagine
and
that?
register.
So
yes,
selected areas.
Yes.
So you have selected areas.
Yeah.
So you go there
Yeah.
to register people.
Yeah.
I mean, come on,
And
now, man.
disenfranchise a lot of other people.
Ooh, boy.
Yeah.
Question:
That is
have
ridiculous.
they registered anyone yet?
Boy.
Yeah?
No,
I don't think so.
Look, you cannot say I don't think so. You must be dogmatic.
Oh,
Have they done any registrations out there
One doesn't know.
in the same areas?
Yeah.
This thing is just a joke. And I honestly, sometimes when I hear this discussion, I don't even listen anymore because I don't get fed up.
Yeah.
People shouldn't be discussing that. To me, that is just nobody should accept that.
But why is it only Dominica has all those problems?
Exactly.
You never heard of this in other countries.
They had re-registration.
No problems.
In fact, Baldwin Spencer, one year he did had and they lost. He didn't care.
Yeah.
After Gaston Brown came in power, they had it all about.
Yeah.
But in Dominica,
Why is it such an
the
issue in
problem
Dominica for
to have a voter's ID card, to re-register,
or the national
take
card?
out dead people on the list?
Why you want to call it modernization?
All
Why
sorts
use
of-
that word?
Why?
Once you hear that, something is wrong.
Yes, and people,
Shocking, man.
and people went and to try to legitimize this man.
Legitimize
and even worse,
it.
People go now to the state house to receive copies.
Copies,
they
man.
dress to go there and receiving copies of that.
Yeah.
But like fools.
You're right. People dressed up
to
for
dress to go there
Yeah.
to receive it like little boys. Look, here is a copy.
Holy Communion.
I have only my balls now. Take it. Go read it.
Yeah.
And man, give me a break.
See, woman, this too is tomfoolery. It's the
Yeah.
highest,
See,
Oh,
yeah.
God, man.
Good night.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Yes, sir.
They're giving sports rap blues about the reform. They're giving that judge blues about the reform. It's specifically mentioned Ozzy and Sebastian. They give them blues about the reform. And that business of Ozzy Luis die. If Ozzy die, Sibo die, Lobby die, Francois Barry die, Havens die, sports history in Dominica. Finish. Nobody cannot know about cricket in Dominica again. Because you are the fellas who give us all the cricket history of the world. Thank you very much.
Lobby, what's your view,
Barry?
Lobby, we're not hearing you. Lobby. Oh, we lost him again.
No, but Sibo, but he who pays the piper obviously calls the tune.
Lobby, we're not hearing you about this thing, man. What's your view?
My view, Sebastian, my reception is bad. I can't hear you all, I'm going to turn off.
Well, I'm not the technician.
Well, we can't help that because we're not technicians.
We're not the technician. The technician. What is the internet, Lobby?
Can you hear us at all, Lobby?
I'm hearing you all it's just temporarily, it's just now and again. It goes off.
Yeah.
Oh, well, the technician, he's there.
But it has been happening every 99.10 of the time.
99?
happening.
Well, we have a technician around. I don't know.
Well, it's an internet issue. They're saying, Lobby.
It says internet issue.
Yeah, internet issue. Well, yeah, Ozzy will take our first break. So
we discussed that. I was thinking, just the same thing I was thinking now. Look at the West from 1928, the inception.
Yeah, we'll take a break now.
Yeah.
Rudolph Thomas Enterprise in Portsmouth, your suppliers of building materials and hardware products. Over 20 years experience in the business. Rudolph Thomas has lumber and plywood, Portland and tile cement, steel rods, galvanized and fenced pipe, and Rudolph Thomas can meet all your wire needs. Galvanized roofing sheets, doors, windows, toilet sets, face basins, and bidets. PVC piping, fittings, and lattice. Check out Rudolph Thomas for ceramic and vinyl floor and wall tiles, nails, nuts and bolts, paint and painting supplies. And check out their line of electrical and hand tools. And Rudolph Thomas is your one-stop shop for hard-to-find items like fiberglass mat and fiberglass resin and welding rods. Go now to Rudolph Thomas on 1240 Bay Street in Portsmouth. Rudolph Thomas Enterprise in Portsmouth, your suppliers of building materials and hardware products. Over 20 years experience in the business. Rudolph Thomas has lumber and plywood, Portland and tile cement, steel rods, galvanized and fenced pipe, and Rudolph Thomas can meet all your wire needs. Galvanized roofing sheets, doors, windows, toilet sets, face basins, and bidets. PVC piping, fittings, and lattice. Check out Rudolph Thomas for ceramic and vinyl floor and wall tiles, nails, nuts and bolts, paint and painting supplies. And check out their line of electrical and hand tools. And Rudolph Thomas is your one-stop shop for hard-to-find items like fiberglass mat and fiberglass resin and welding rods. Go now to Rudolph Thomas on 1240 Bay Street in Portsmouth.
Yes, welcome back to Sports Wrap. It's now 6:39 by the clock on the wall. And just to mention as a...
Hold on, we're going to call her before we... Good
Yes.
night.
Hello?
Good night, Steve-O. Good night, Ozzy.
Okay, so good night, Mr. Robinson. Louis Robinson. Yes, good.
How are you doing, my friend?
Not too bad, thank you.
I want to comment on two things. First, I will take the legal luminaries thing. You see, one of the things that a lot of people, I guess, maybe I'm too brash, maybe I'm not in Dominica, so I make comments that I don't take sides. The first thing I said, why did they use Dennis Byron? In fact, I started going at him, and people said, well, we should give him a chance. Mm-hmm. I said, don't forget that we gave the young man a chance. When we had the lawyer in the case with the Peter Seja and the passport issue, I said, I started going after them. I said, give the man give him a chance. They will complete. We keep giving chances like it's lottery we're playing with Dominica. And we end up not winning at all.
Yeah.
I cannot, Mr. Lewis, you're a lawyer. I'm not a lawyer by profession. I did some law just for business or my accounting. But isn't the basic principle of the legal profession is due process?
Well, obviously, you must have due process, yes. Yes.
Precisely. Now, if you have someone who was head of the Judicial Qualification and Legal Services Commission in St. Lucia,
mm-hmm.
fired a magistrate without due process, how could that person become a legal luminary? How?
That's basically wrong.
Yes. He was head of the committee. He fired an attorney with a magistrate, mm-hmm. without due process. The magistrate sued him and won. Mm-hmm. And we're talking about legal luminary. I don't know what is wrong with Dominicans. We have sink or value so low that we accept anything now. Mediocrity. We have become legal luminary. Secondly, on the issue of the two sportsmen, they appointed ambassadors. I don't know if you all can recall that a committee at Goodwill had received funding from the Australians and the
New Zealander, yes.
New Zealander to fence the
Lindo
Park. So that boss and the Prime Minister, oh no, this is government land, and refused. They had to send the money back.
That's correct, yes.
So I would hope that these two ambassadors he appointed would probably go around the country, look at let us suppose they travel to India. Now we know India is the richest cricketing nation. And the Indians would offer them some funding to fix, let's say, the park in Portsmouth, the Lio Park in Marigat, the Goodwill Savannah, or fix up some parks. Would he say that they can't do it because it's government thing? Can they now go out and lobby on behalf of the sporting community in Dominica to get all the playing fields fixed? This is what the ambassadors will be doing. So we go out there and we say, okay, all these playing fields from the southeast to the northeast, from the southwest to the northwest, and fix those fields. This is what. The other thing too, they must call on the private sector community to sponsor and broadcast at least the first class matches. That used to be done a long time ago. That is why people have lost interest in a lot of this stuff. Sometimes you're having a regional match or even sometimes a test match not being heard in radio or television in Dominica because nobody sponsors it. We must also, while we're calling on government to put the infrastructure, we must now call on the private sector to go back to funding the advertisements and carrying even the first class matches, football, whatever it is that we're playing. Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay,
thank you.
Before we go to the West Indies, I just want to actually talk about this ambassador. First, let me say here, I have no issue with any sportsman or woman
getting anything they deserve.
Anything they get, they must take it, and they deserve it. And I'm happy for Ali. In fact, I saw Ali up to 3:10 was getting ready to go to the airport because they have a camp starting tomorrow and Calvin Motor as well. So happy for the two. But what I want people, it must be genuine.
Genuine.
And I'll tell you, when I became a West Indies selector,
West Indies test selector.
Pelham John Baptiste was in charge of immigration. He called me and he said to me, Sibo, you need a service passport and I'm going to speak to the authorities. I know he called a few times to tell them, well, the man is a selector. You gave Billy Doctor one became, but you gave Shane Chilling for the one. You need to help him out. I had to go to send my passport to the Western Board to send it to Washington when I was supposed to go to New Zealand so they could get a visa. So I was supposed to go to Barbados to watch him at Barbados and get to Leeward Islands. So I had to go get a permit. So I called Pelham. So Pelham was upset. He said, Sibo, I said to you, the people need to give you a thing and you're embarrassing me. Anyway, he got me the permit. So I go to Barbados. When I got to the airport, I got to immigration. So guy come and say, so why are you traveling this? So I tried to explain. So he put me to synagogue. He said, you know what they put you to synagogue inside airport? Like they're going to send you back. So I was there for about an hour and feeling embarrassed.
On the investigation.
They put me on the side. So while I'm there sitting, another immigration officer noticed when he came, Sebastian, that's you? I say, yeah. So what are you doing there? So I explained to him, and he came, he held man. He said, come on, man, let's go. And then he brought me across, and then up to this day, they never even took me on. But you see, they gave other people, and that's the kind of hypocrisy that's around there. And as I say, I'm not against two
genuine
getting it, but people want to think genuine. And that is the problem.
We have a caller, do we?
And I'll never forget Pelham. I'll say to him again, I knew he was in the forefront. They never, in fact, even after they took him out from immigration. We have another caller.
Yes, do we have a caller? Yes, caller. Hello.
Oh, by the way, before we start the West Indies, I can call the team. They've just selected 18 guys for camp.
18, yes, go ahead.
It starts tomorrow in Antigua.
Yes.
Let me give you the names of the team. By the way, your boy Cornwall is back.
Cornwall is back.
On the squad, yeah. The squad.
Rakim, Jimbo Cornwall.
Craig Baffert, Ali Kafanage, Jermaine Blackwood, Nkrumah Bonner, surprised him this name, Tagnaran Shandapal, Rakim Cornwall, even that to him surprised, De Silva, Joshua De Silva, Shannon Gabriel.
Shannon is still around there.
Kavim Hodge, Akim Jordan, Ja McAllister, new fast bowler from Barbados, Kirk McKenzie, the open batsman from Jamaica, Makino Mindley, Anderson Phillip, Raymond Reefer again is there.
Raymond Reefer.
It looked like they want to put him to bat at number 3 again.
Yes.
Kima Roach, Jaden Sills back, the fast bowler, and Jomel Warrington. I'm surprised at that.
So this guy's called a double century in
Mackenzie.
As Mackenzie,
Yeah,
is in that.
He's there. But you know, Ozzy, the surprising thing, and I'll tell you what, the West Indies board has not planned anything. Do you know the West Indies board, as you know, they're in the World Cup. The last day of the thing was the 9th. I sent a message to a board member. I will not call him. I'm telling him, well, if they finish in Zimbabwe on the 9th, there is no way they can get to Dominica to play the first set. And I said to him, they're probably, from what I know about cricket, maybe 4 or 5 guys there that will be in the test team.
Mm-hmm.
The reply I got was, Sibo, the plan is for us to qualify early and some of the guys will come down.
Qualify early?
How could you have qualified early? Because after the Super 6, West Indies play on Saturday morning, by the way, against Scotland. The next time they play is next week, Wednesday, against Oman, and they finish against Sri Lanka. So you finish, and then the finals on the 9th. How the hell could you have qualified early?
Yeah.
And then the free guys, they're free. Now they said they could only send free guys because they only have 16 people or 15 people. So they will be left with 12 if they have to play the final match on the 9th.
Mm-hmm.
So when you plan like that,
yeah.
So in other words, you're going to play a test match against India, and a lot of your men
not available.
And you knew the fixtures long time of the World Cup of the qualifiers.
Poor planning.
And you get into a situation now where you have to select guys you would not have put in that squad because a lot of your men are in Zimbabwe.
Not available.
I'm talking about the plan is to qualify early. How could you qualify early?
Yeah, and when you have matches towards the end.
But the matches going up to the 9th. And it's impossible to leave, because when you leave Zimbabwe, you have to go to London. Then you have London, you have to fly to Barbados. There's no way to take you days. And then not only that, you'll get tired. You'll get tired.
Very poor planning.
Very poor planning.
Yes, I think we have a caller, yes? Hello, 2 callers. Hello, yes?
Good evening,
Evening. That sounds like Bob Marley.
No, I don't think it's he. Good night.
I'm the worst cricketer in Dominica. 12th man was my favorite number. But let me tell you, what Skerrit do in Dominica or what he say, it is pure politics. Skerrit spend hundreds of millions of dollars on build hotel. It don't bring popularity. He predicts 4.5%. We almost live halfway the year. We haven't increased. Dominica haven't grown by not 1%. So the only hope for Dominica now is for Dominica to have 2 cricketers on West Indies, and everywhere they go, they can say they are Dominican on, hoping Dominica get a little promotion. Scary just lynching off the back of the young men of them. Because when you watch Scary, Sibo, Salisbury is a community and a very strong cricket team they call top ranking. And yet still the young people of Salisbury go out and protest for election reform. And he sent for people overseas to go Salisbury and tear gas the young people. Instead of giving them cricket back, he offered them marijuana to smoke. Ozil Wish is the best commentator in Dominica or even in the Caribbean in Dominica. They deprived the man from going out there and make a name in a test cricket or a one-day cricket take place in Dominica. So how to believe Skerrit when Skerrit gets involved and trying to, thank God those guys get something, but it is political because this Skerrit guy is a fair guy among the young people. God bless Dominica. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for the contribution, man. Thank you. We have another one. Yes, caller.
Good night.
Hello.
Yeah. But Ozzy, let's get to the West Indies now.
Before that, just to remind callers that the Wimbledon starts on Monday.
Monday.
Famous Wimbledon.
Alcaraz, I see, he's back at number 1. By the way,
he's back at number 1 seed.
Yeah.
All right.
In fact, there was debate about that because Djokovic just won the French Open.
You don't know the draw yet. Yeah?
No, dear. But I just know his number. He'll be the number 1 seed because he was just won the Queen's
tournament.
Yeah. So he's the number 1 seed for Wimbledon. Starts on Monday.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they start on Monday. Wimbledon.
Yeah, Wimbledon. Yeah. So Aussie, as you know, West Indies cricket this is the thing that has kept the region for a long, long time. As we said, we heard Keith Rowley, but again, they're all hypocrites, said this Prime Minister. He came up with nonsense, and now he's blaming the players now, by the way. When it was Cameron they were after. They even got a Barito report saying where they should fire him.
Mitchell, I know the Barito report,
Gonzalez, all of them, and they got rid of him. I remember when Ricky Skerritt and them came in, you were one of the people Ricky Skerritt in the corner and shallow.
That was the first name, Ricky. Yes. So there's another Skerritt.
But you know, in the last 4 years, since Dave Cameron left, cricket has gone down in the Caribbean.
One has to agree with that. Any objective person will agree with that.
That the cricket has gone down.
But see, when I think of West Indies cricket, I go back in history, of course, in 1928.
Right.
People following cricket day before yesterday, don't know about the glory days of West Indies cricket. As a team, the most attractive team ever. Everybody wanted to see the West Indians play. After they'll tell you, this guy bats like a West Indian. You hear comment all the time.
In fact, a lot of the foreign teams, if the West Indians, they want to see
shot like a West Indian.
Exactly.
Like our West Indian. That became a brand of cricket. Above all else, West Indies, 1950 was the real beginning of a great hallmark for West Indies when they won in England, 1950, with Ramadan and Valentine, and the W's, the Wicks, Warwick, Walcott. I remember the team. That was West Indies at its best. And then, you know, the rest. The West Indies.
Well, in 61 in Australia.
61, the tight test, Frank Warrell. Yeah. So you had Wicks, Warrell, Walcott. They call them the 3 terrible W's, as you know.
But before that, you had George Headley, yeah?
You had George Headley.
Yeah, you had George Headley.
Larry Constantine, George Challoner. In 1920, West Indies began. Right.
Jeff Stallmeyer.
Right.
Alan Ray.
John Goddard.
Yeah, all these people.
Dennis Atkinson.
Jerry Alexander,
all these guys. And then from the 60s, the Clive Lloyd era was really, really made a hallmark.
For 15 years, they dominated.
For 15 years, we dominated. But West Indies team was about the 1 or number 2. For every time, they will never be below number 3. West Indies now can't qualify for a World Cup.
Well, you remember they just failed to qualify the T20 World Cup a few months ago. Yeah. Remember that?
Right, T20. And the last World Cup in Zimbabwe, they were lucky. It was
against Scotland.
Scotland decision, a bad decision, caused West Indies. It was
an LBW. Ashley Nurse.
Right.
Was clearly going. In fact, I was a selector at the time.
Right.
It was clearly going down the leg side.
Yes.
And then rain came.
And
West Indies
won
qualified on a Duckworth Lewis.
The Duckworth Lewis method.
For the World Cup.
Scrape through, you know. The last World Cup was 2019 in England.
2018.
Yeah. So they were lucky to have qualified the previous World Cup.
That is true.
Now this year, can they qualify?
Well, we have to go through the different permutations to see how, but it's going to be almost impossible.
But isn't it 2 of the 10 teams?
No, but also before the World Cup, and there are a few people I spoke to, and I told them, there are 10 teams, 2 have to qualify. And I always said to people, it was always going to be a problem for West Indies to get past Zimbabwe and Sri Lanka. I wasn't worried about the other people.
Yeah.
If it's 2, you have to get past Zimbabwe and Sri Lanka. And I was never quite sure about that.
Right. Now you have the Netherlands causing history, scoring 375 against West Indies. You can't defend almost 400 runs. You can't defend.
But you know, we didn't have to go through that. You know, in fact, after the game, I heard Darren Sammy, the coach, and I was a bit stunned when he said that the tactics today. Now the coach is responsible for tactics together with the captain.
Yeah.
And he said that the tactics were there was a problem, and it looked like there was no plan in Aussie.
Yeah.
In fact, when I listened to the captain in the interview after, apparently he hinted that Jason put up his hand to bowl the last over. Hence the reason that he bowled the last over.
Yes.
That's the thing. Now, Ozzy, again, the tactical, what I know as a man who played cricket and as a manager for Windward for 12 years.
Were you surprised Holder opted to bowl the last super over?
That is why I'm surprised. And not only that, West Indies were even lucky. Because if you had the last 2 overs, Netherlands had to score 28 runs. So what I know, the penultimate over, you always give it to your best bowler.
Yes.
The best bowler bowl. So you make sure to ensure that you have plenty runs for the last
penultimate over is a key over.
Key over.
In 19
so you should have the main bowler bowling.
Yeah.
So if you can get you a few wickets and have them to get probably 20 in the last over.
Restrict the scoring.
You give
to chase a spin bowler. And every bowler man out to slog, you know.
Why?
In the penultimate over in a 50 over match, whoever is spinning is looking for trouble. Every ball is going to travel, you know.
Well, let's take this caller.
Man, that's madness, man.
Good night. Yes?
The tactics today is no tactics, you know. Yeah, it's no tactics because you're losing.
I couldn't believe it. About about 40 odd runs in the last 2 or 3 overs.
Yeah, but so there's no planning. We have another caller. Good night.
Hello?
Hey, Jollyman, it's me. Hello, Sebastian.
Hello, B. Well,
you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Yeah, we hear you now.
Yeah, not that I had to move. I had to leave because it's impossible to communicate with you all.
Okay,
guys.
okay. Yeah. Yeah, well, go and make your point here.
Yeah. Let me tell you on this Dilmatic passport. Look, it's just craziness. I remember what happened to Irvin. When Irvin arrived, they gave him the key for the city. What happened to him? They gave him these 2 guys who haven't played enough, you know. First of all, this is not going to enhance them at all. The West Indies team is going through some serious problem right now. Okay? The guys have to try to establish themselves. Hodge himself he's not even steady on the team. More steps for Apenas. Allow this young man to grow. See what you can help them financially, help them. But not get them make a look a passport. That is not going to enhance them at all. It's not.
Well, all I like to say, Lobby, anything so people can get, I have no issue against that. Since it's done genuinely, I have no issue.
Yeah.
Anything any sportsman or woman can get, I have no issue with that. Just do it, be genuine and do it properly.
I want to perform. Listen to me right now. This guy will be on the team in Dominica. We're putting pressure on this young man. First of all, the Indians coming home will have already, look at this guy and look at his weakness and start working on him. They look at our key batsmen. So this itself, is just something else. But so much for that.
The Indians will be the Caribbean they reach Dominica on the 7th, by the way.
On the 7th?
Next week. Let me see. They'll get to Dominica next. They're reaching in Barbados this weekend in batches. Then they have a 2-day game in Barbados. So they should be in Dominica next week, Saturday.
Sharma is the captain?
Rohit Sharma, yeah. Kohli.
Rohit Sharma.
Yeah, they'll be in Dominica next week. The only problem with that, Lobby Ozzy, if you play in a 50 over, you can live. The Indians, both teams are going to be staying at Kipinski. Now, in a test match, it's a long way to drive.
It's a long drive,
because you have to leave Portsmouth by 7:30 every morning. And then it's going to be tiring. I'm telling you, if it's a 50 over, you play and you go home and rest, you don't have to play next day. But to have to play a test match,
5 days.
That's going to be tough. I can tell you that.
Boy, tough.
And then you have to drive down after cricket again.
Yeah.
It's going to be very tough. I tell you.
In fact,
hold on. All the cricket I've played and followed, I cannot think of any test venue where you have to drive far like that. Okay, you go to Barbados, 10 minutes drive to the hotel to Accra. You go to Trinidad, Hyatt Toffing, 5 minutes drive. You go in Jamaica, Sabahina Park, 5 minutes drive.
Away, man.
Guyana, 5 minutes drive.
Some guys have hotels right on the ground.
Yes, well, exactly, no.
Hotels on the ground.
And I'm happy you mentioned that to us. When we talk about West Indies cricket, we're living in a modern age. You have to give facilities where families can enjoy themselves.
Yeah.
You have places where they can even go and shop in the ground.
Yeah.
You have hotels in place. Look at all the English ground. When you go to a match, you can enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
Even if you don't want to watch the cricket boring, you have things around the ground.
Yeah.
So what I would like to see, when we build in our stadium, build modern facilities where the families can come, people who want to watch the cricket, they can enjoy themselves. Yeah. Because we're living in modern times.
Yeah. But to go drive over an hour after a lot.
It's a long way.
A lot, yeah.
Yes.
Question: Can the team ask for a change of hotel?
Well, I assume they would have. I hope the Dominican Cricket Association and the West Indies Board would tell them. You know what to have told them the distance.
Yeah.
I cannot believe they would not have told them where they're going to be staying and the distance. So I would expect the Indians to know that is where they're going to be staying. I can't believe they wouldn't do that, and one day come and allow them. That would cause more problems. But it's a long way to go to drive from for a test match, where every morning you have to get up very early because when you play there, you want to rest yourself.
Yeah.
You don't want to have to get up at 6 o'clock.
You have to be up at 6, man.
Because you have to bathe.
You have to be on the ground at 7:30.
Well, you have to come early so that you can warm up. And I'm a bit worried about that, the distance.
That is a big worry.
And Sebastian, also traffic is very heavy these days.
Well, they will have an escort. They will have escorts. I expect that. The escort, they will have police escorts.
That is a very serious point, Okay. That is a serious thing. The distance from the cricket ground, the travel.
Yeah, it is.
And for 5 days.
In fact, I spoke to Liam about that, who's in charge, and I told him that could pose a problem.
That's a nightmare, boy.
Gentlemen.
Yes, Robbie.
Sebastian, your friend Steve is concerned about whether it is that West Indies cricket is going forward or backward right now.
Well, West Indies cricket hasn't gone forward for a long time. Let's go back
about the West Indies. When you think of the ilk of cricketers we had before, the type of cricketers we had before, and the crop we have today, is just. You can't compare it at all. There's no way.
Well, we don't have a world-class batsman, one.
Right.
And Roach is probably a world-class batsman.
Let's think of the great West Indies teams now. The great teams of yesteryear. Go back to this. Even Colin Charan, these guys are great cricketers.
Colin Charan was a top batsman, Lawrence Rowe. And you create
even Sawan.
Rohan Kanai.
Chanda Paul.
Yes.
I was surprised that Chanda Paul is in the top 10.
Yes, in
top aggregate of all time,
Yes, correct.
I knew he was right up there, but he was in top 10. That's fantastic.
What about gentlemen? We're talking about the batting. We were strong in fielding, in bowling, in batting. Nowadays, you're hearing about players cannot catch. They have soft hands. Soft hands.
Well, West Indies have dropped 14 catches in 4 matches. The 4 matches they played so far in the qualifiers, they've dropped. And I look at Rothman Powell in the field, and
Rothman Powell is a liability. Yeah.
Not only that, you see him, his shirt on top of out of his pants, he looks untidy in the field.
This guy drops a lot of catches. He's a bad Rothman Powell.
Well, he just doesn't look the part. I just don't understand. And I will say again, Ozzy, Kyle Mayers shouldn't be opening batting a 50-over game. T20, I have no issue. A 50-over game is a lot of overs.
Well, 50 is a lot of overs.
You need a
teams can bat 30 overs.
And again, I don't understand the logic. Shea Hope has made 1100s.
Why is he gone to number 4 now?
Why is he not at the top of the order?
I mean,
in fact, I was a selector. I never saw Brandon keep opening batting for Jamaica. He always batted 4-5.
4-5, that's correct.
What I'm saying, Shea Hope has made all his runs at the top of the order. He should be batting, and I just don't understand the logic.
Yeah,
I don't understand it at all.
But he has put himself to bat number 4.
Well, if he captain now, so he can.
Why should he bat number 4?
I don't
He's
understand.
so prolific opening batting.
Yeah, and I don't know how we're going to go wrong, because what can happen, Ozzy? West Indies, now if they don't qualify, they will lose the participation for the board. The board is going to lose a lot of revenue. They will get a share.
West Indies might not qualify,
Well, listen, hear this. Before West Indies can only reach a maximum of 6 points.
Yeah.
Before they play on Saturday against Scotland.
The next match is Saturday.
Saturday morning.
Yes.
Both Sri Lanka and Zimbabwe could have 6 points.
Yes.
No, Zimbabwe already has 6 points. They won today.
They won today.
So
they have about 8 points now.
No, they have 6. They came in 4. Yes. They got 2 today, 6.
Yeah.
If Sri Lanka wins tomorrow morning.
And you carrying your points from
they carried 4. But you only carry forward the points of the team that I came across with you. So the match against USA didn't come.
Okay. Oh, I
so
see.
the Zimbabwe came because they beat West Indies and Netherlands. So they took their points. So they had 4 points. So they got 2 today to have 6. If Sri Lanka wins tomorrow,
Yeah.
they will have 6 points.
6 points.
So West Indies now can only total 6 points, the maximum.
Yeah.
So in other words, you go into on Saturday under pressure, knowing 2 teams already have 6 points.
Already 6, which is maximum you can get.
The maximum. So you have
Play
to
all
win
your matches.
every match.
Yeah.
Scotland is not going to be easy.
Scotland.
They have to play Sri Lanka as well.
Yeah.
That's not going to be easy.
Sri Lanka.
West Indies have to play Sri
West Indies
Lanka.
can't beat Sri Lanka.
And in fact, that's the last game next Friday against Sri Lanka.
Nobody would beat Sri Lanka.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. West Indies is in a big hole. And not only that, what you have to understand, they have to win handsomely to improve their net run rate.
Yeah.
That's the other thing.
Net run rate is very important.
Very important.
When your points are equal.
West Indies net run is in minus now.
In minus.
It's in minus.
They have poor chance to qualify.
West Indies and
very
if
poor.
they don't qualify, what could happen next time? The West Indies could end up like having to go through like Nepal and them to qualify for the next World Cup.
Yeah.
And in fact, the West Indies board hasn't paid the players who played in this year's first class comes up to now,
Yeah.
They haven't paid the players. No players gotten paid. So the West Indies board is owing the players a whole lot of money. So if they don't make money in the World Cup, West Indies cricket is going to
crumble,
be in a disaster.
Yeah.
And that is why Dave Cameron came out. He said that we haven't, the darkest day hasn't reached yet, because Dave Cameron made a statement on
The darker days to come.
Because if we don't qualify, it's going to be very dark.
Becoming an associate team, man.
Yes.
Will come like an associate team.
No, but what could happen, Ozzy, when you not up to standard, a lot of the bigger team will not want to play against you. So West Indies against India and Australia, we will lose these battles against this team, and we're going to suffer.
Imagine that,
Yeah.
West Indies.
But, gentlemen, Sebastian and Ozzy, I am just talking like about losing. I am not surprised at all. I am just not surprised. You have to understand this deficiency we have now is not what happened yesterday. It was coming and it has reached here right now. That is boiling point. The present board has inherited inconsistency. That's what they have inherited. And you have seen so over the years, we haven't put anything in place. First of all, our preparation, we have had poor preparation. All right, very poor preparation. First of all, our strength over the years, when Ozzy speaks about the Great West Indies team, batting, bowling, and fielding, you never heard about West Indies dropping so many catches.
Yeah.
We were strong in every department. What has happened today is the way we go about preparing. There is no preparation.
Well, it's a good point, because in Darren Sammy interview said that about practice, like guys don't want to practice.
It's optional for them.
Well, he didn't say it directly, but he hinted at that.
Yeah.
And he said, well, the state of West Indies cricket. But as Rob Black said, there's no plan in us.
Yeah.
This board, people came, when they got rid of Cameron, it's like people came there with their own agenda to please their friends, and no plan was put in place to develop one. And that has happened over the years, If you look at it, there has not been any plan. There's not been, as I say, look at the ground. All the ground, the same old ground, no improvement, nothing. Our first class competition. I saw Trinidad 15-man team today for the next year in the franchise. People like Jason Mohammed. What are these people doing on a Trinidad team still? 35 years. How are you going to? How is that going to develop West Indies cricket? You're picking people. I mean, it's a joke.
Yeah,
Look at all the respective islands. Look at the territory. And in fact, all this T10 is all around the Caribbean. And by the way, it's going on Jamaica now.
Thing
this T10 is going on Jamaica.
As a blight on West Indies cricket.
So it's not helping you. Most of the islands,
not helping at all.
You hardly have two-day cricket, hardly a proper club cricket to develop the cricket.
Yeah.
In fact, when you drive around, look at Dominica. Okay, look at where we live. Us in the days, you go all around Dominica.
Yeah.
They were on a Sunday.
You must have village matches
all
around,
over
man.
Place. You have cricket going on.
Yeah.
And then now you go around the place and look at the
state of our match taking place.
Look at the state of our facility.
Yeah,
what have they done? What have we done here to help develop our sports, our playing field? What have we done?
Yeah. Cricket has just declined unbelievably.
That is where the heads of government over the years, we haven't sat down and looked objectively on the way forward. We have been doing poorly consistently West Indies cricket. First of all, the wickets Sebastian have been saying, the wickets are very poor. The wickets are very, very poor. Our strength, we produce dozens of fast, genuine fast bowlers. What the wickets we have today are not helping. And because of the fast bowlers we had good batsmen. You had to bat. All right. Presently, you just to conclude what you said about the coach. That he had to come out and just say it as is. Guys do not want to practice, but you are in charge. You are in charge. You have to, because they're not going to fire a batsman. You know, you as the coach, you're going to lose your job. You have to step down. You have to step up. Come and practice.
But even that to Ozzy caused a problem. As I say, I am not going to say anything about Darren Sammy. Everybody knows the relationship I have with him. But even that, a lot of people felt the whole process was wrong. How it was done.
How he was appointed.
Yes, a lot of people felt the whole process again. Kishore Shallow.
What is him? Kishore Shallow.
Kishore. In fact, nobody has heard him for the last
year. Now the president.
The president.
Yeah.
He and Ricky Skerritt.
Yeah.
It was like a coup against Dave Cameron. They had all the politicians, Gonzalez, and all of them after Dave Cameron. Everybody was against.
Yes.
Dave Cameron.
Cameron was under tremendous fire, you know.
A lot of fire.
Yeah, boy.
And everybody, we have to get rid of. No, what?
Even insulted him so openly, man. Left-handed guy from Trinidad insulted Cameron openly.
Which one?
The batsman.
You mean
Darren Bravo insulted him openly.
And you know, Ozzy, there's a calypso that said, you know, careful what you ask for.
Yes.
Careful what you ask for. The people ask and look at 1 minute, Lobby. Look at what's happening now.
What they have inherited also. This guy is not right now. It's what they have inherited because the guys, Cameron, them, Sebastian, they had what you have guys on contract, you know. I have been saying so. You cannot have players on contract for a year and there's nobody monitoring them.
No, I don't agree with you. No, what you're saying there is not really correct. When you're contracted, you are based in an island where they have a coach and assistant coach, and that is where you should, like, for instance, Kavem Hodge and Ali Kanafana, they were based in Grenada for the past year. It's a matter, if the coaches, they don't do their work, that's a different matter. But you are there for a year, that's where you work. And I'll say in fairness to Cameron, under him, young men in the Caribbean have been able to make a living from cricket. They can buy a house, they can open a business, they can buy a piece of land, and you have to give him credit for that.
So you think Ricky's carriage was bad for West Indies cricket?
But of course, what they did,
so
you know,
unambiguously.
Ozzy, you remember when they came under Cameron, all these guys before couldn't because of all the problems. Yeah. They were allowed to do what they want. The players have been allowed.
Yeah.
You had Russell. West Indies is playing and he goes somewhere else to play.
Somewhere else is playing.
And then Ricky Sherritt made a statement, he don't want choir boys.
Yeah.
So guys can go, do your non-to and then just decide when you want to play cricket for West Indies. You remember that?
Oh yeah.
There's no discipline.
Yeah. No objection certificates.
Nothing.
Been given all the time.
Exactly. Guys can just go where they want to play and come back when they want.
That's the result you have now.
That's the result.
Chaos, disarray.
Exactly. Good words.
Chaos and disarray.
That's what you have. And to me, nobody seems to have the answer now. You don't know what next because you
don't beyond redemption now, you know.
Exactly.
It's getting worse and worse,
and you know, I said to somebody, you know,
Holland beating West Indies, you know.
Imagine that.
Holland.
But not only that, half of the Holland team were not there.
8 of them were not there.
Half of the team were
absent. The majority of the Holland players were not even playing on the Holland team.
They are absent because
a third division team of Holland Rods.
They are absent.
Absent. They said 8 of the players.
Because what happened? A lot of the guys don't want to leave their country because they fear that they could lose their contract. They could lose their contract. So here you have a team lose half of their main players not playing, and they beat the West Indies.
But is there something
and I say it hurts as a man.
It hurts, man.
Like me as a man who played. I was the manager of the West Indies A team. I was a selector. I played and. You don't want to see West Indies.
But people like myself who grew up with the great West Indies teams of the 50s, 60s, 70s, to see West Indies decline right now, it's really heartbreaking, man.
We have a caller. Let's call it. Good night.
It's bad. It's
Hello?
It's sad. Hello?
Sorry, gentlemen, I'm going to speak about cricket. I'm going to speak about Special Olympics. I think the Special Olympics, the Special Olympian did well in Berlin. They got 4 silver and 1 bronze.
All right. Congratulations. Yes. Okay, good.
In fact, somebody that's signing a picture of the Geneva playing field. Look at it now. They're
going to work on it?
Well, it should have been work. In fact, I know Holford from Collier Vidal, my cousin, had done from. I don't know if he ever got paid, and that there were all sorts of things like that in Granby, and that's the problem. Good night. We have another caller.
Yes, caller. Back on the sports wrap.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Yes, I must say I listen to you guys, but this is my very first time calling the program tonight.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
and
welcome.
I was prompted to call the program because of the news of the demise of the West Indies cricket team. And Sebastian, by the way, Joel Matthews said hello.
I tell him I say hi, man. So why you're in Tampa? You calling from Tampa?
No, I'm in Texas right now.
Oh, in Texas, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, all right.
But in the conversation you guys are having, I think what has been lost in the West Indies cricket conversation is the time we were playing and what the West Indies cricket team really meant to the Caribbean at the time. And Sebastian, I would really like you guys to talk about the historical context, because you guys will clearly remember when the West Indies team started going to England, they were called the Soca Boys. They were taken for a joke. And you guys will clearly remember back in the days that the West Indies Cricket Board of Selectors were made out of white men. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because at that time, there was a lot of racism. There was a lot of
insularity
on the ability of black people to be smart, to be able to play sports. It happened in the U.S. and in the Caribbean. And what the West Indies team meant to us is that we could go to England and beat them at their own game. We were capable, we were strong to the point where we dominated cricket in the world for 15 years without a loss. Mm-hmm. And the West Indies cricket team reflected unity in the Caribbean and the capability of black free people. And at the time, in the Caribbean society, people were fighting social issues. And when you have a society that is serious about the social issues, it reflects on everyone that comes from that society. So the teams at the time knew when they went to represent the West Indies, they could not fail because they were representing the people of the Caribbean and what was going on at the time. If you look at what is happening today with our politicians, with our society, with our young people getting involved in drugs, getting involved in different things, there is no sense of pride, no sense of value, no sense of belief in your abilities and yourself, and it's perpetuated by those in charge. So the failure we see in West Indies today didn't happen overnight. It's a systematic situation where the social issues, the society itself is deteriorating, and thereby the cricketers who come from that society does not even see the need to fight and maintain that dignity and that pride we have back in the days. And I think if you guys, I bet, have seen that show Fire in Babylon. And I have said before, every school should play that show Fire in Babylon, because not only did it talk about cricket, it talked about the real reason we were fighting, the real reason when these men go to England and Australia, when Thompson and Lilly and those guys was peppered West Indians. We came back and we fought back. And you know what the press used to say about these black men and these Soca Boys. And the West Indies Cricket Board of Control, the ICC for a long time did everything to water down the dominance of the West Indies fast bowlers and the cricketers. You guys are well aware of the history. And I think too many times in that conversation, what is lost is the real representation of West Indies cricket to us as a region, and how we can be on top if we make the effort, if we believe in ourselves, and if we prepare and do what is right. And I think today that sense of unity, that sense of selflessness has been lost, and it's reflecting itself right now in the West Indies cricket. That is why we can see the talent and the gifts in this guy.
Okay, caller. Thanks for the contribution.
Also the caller is right. You remember when Tony Gregg, made that idiotic comment
groveling
about you make the West Indies
groveling. That was a serious comment.
Now here is a white man, a South African white man at that, born talking up to black people
in the days of apartheid.
And they've always said to me, he was never inspired inspired like that to score runs. You remember he made all these runs in 76?
Right,
because
76.
He got a record. He's got over 800 runs. Because and you know, Vivian Richards with this black power mentality.
Black power, yeah.
He's a white
He was
man.
fired by that, man. Motivated.
And the fast bowlers, Andy Roberts, always a quiet guy.
Yeah.
Mikey. These fellas were offended by that idiotic comment.
Yes.
That you're going to make black people grovel.
Yes.
And that's a strong word. And the
They
caller was
made
right.
Greg eat his words, you know.
In fact,
And he had to grovel, you know.
He groveled.
Yeah, man. Yes.
He groveled, Tony Gregg.
1976.
Yeah. Grovel. Good night. We have another caller. Good night.
Yes, caller.
Sibo and Ozzy.
Yes.
Great program as always.
Yeah.
But I have a different well, not a different, no, but a different another view on why our cricketers are not doing well. If anything you're doing, you've got to have proper foundation. So the people we send to play West Indies cricket, they don't go with any good foundation. We from the top is rotten. Just look at the past 4 sport ministers we had. They couldn't play marble. They couldn't play marble. You know, so they cannot inspire anybody. Who you're going to select? The other thing I remember when I just came from England in Portsmouth, I started training those guys in cricket, and I said the first thing we do before the match starts, we're going to do a 40 or 45 minute circuit training. You cannot do any sport if you are not fit. Those guys say they're not professional, right? So they don't come to do that. You cannot do any sport if you're not properly fit for the sport. No. If you watch our coaches now, those coaches cannot even play cricket themselves. You cannot tell me a man have a new ball, and the concept of a new ball in the first few overs is for it to swing in the air. You just throw the ball up in the air, and because of the glove, the ball will move. You drop in the ball in the middle of the pitch. So if you drop a ball in the middle of, there's no way that ball should get a man out. And if you watch those guys, and I always know as a bowler, you bowl to the stump, and getting a man out is second nature. The first thing of getting a man out is to bowl him. You bowl on the stump. I remember Statham used to say, if you miss, I hit. Because you bowl on the stump. Those fellas bowling all the time outside your stump. Those man batting a ball pitch outside your stump. You want to hook it at leg? You want to take the ball from outside your stump and hit it at square leg and mid-wicket. Right? Those man not moving from those man have their bat, they're playing forward, and the bat is angled. You can see the edge of the bat is facing the bowler, right? And there's 3 men in slip. Yet the bat is angled to the. I don't understand those coach, right? So our pitches are bad. We have no pitches. We have no place to practice, right? And that is where it starts. It starts at local level. You have to learn to bat, to be able to play forward to a ball, to get to pitch of the ball. A man trying to hook a 6 and he's leaning backwards. If you're leaning backwards to hit a 6, the only air it's going to go. Once you get to the pitch of the ball, you should push the ball away. You should get to the pitch of the ball.
Okay, caller. Thanks for your contribution, intervention. Thank you.
And Ozzy, I don't know, watching that thing, like
we haven't called our fans for a while.
But this thing is so tough because West Indies cricket means so much to Caribbean people.
Yeah.
And I watched this thing today, and one hole that over was finished. You get deflated, and it's like I was on the cricket field. Yeah. I couldn't believe what I just saw.
6 balls and 6 boundaries.
But you see, that is the other problem. If you notice, he started trying to bowl Yorkers.
Yes.
Now, the thing about Yorkers,
you miss your Yorker.
Miss your length,
you need slot.
It's a full touch to go to ball.
Yeah.
So the first 2 was he tried and
260. Guy started at 260.
And then he tried to bring back the length now. And the guy obviously
hammering of the back foot.
No, you watching that as a West Indian, like somebody like me, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And Jason is a good guy, I'll say. So I like Jason. I mean, I've interacted with him as a for 2.5 years when he was captain.
Demoralized them.
No, but in fact, I watched him after when they went to bed. You could see him sit down like, you are stunned, shocked.
Yeah,
He cannot believe what just happened. He can't believe a man hit you for 30.
The Netherlands, an
30.
associate team, but then a full member team, scoring 374 runs against West Indies.
Why?
In a qualifying match to play the World Cup. The West Indies and the team ties the West Indies and it's super over. Man, it's unbelievable.
Good night, caller. Good night.
Yes, good night.
Hi, good night, Sibo.
Yeah.
I'm just listening to your conversation, and from what the callers are saying and what you all seem to agree with, it seems to me that the success of the past West Indies teams had nothing to do with cricket.
Well, I wouldn't say that.
No, listen, let me explain.
Go ahead.
I remember Michael Holding saying once that when they went to England, their success at cricket meant a lot to the Caribbean people who were being discriminated against in England.
Correct. Yeah.
When they went to work next morning, after they had beat England, they could walk with their heads high.
Mm-hmm.
So in a sense, we had this common enemy that we were fighting against for our own pride.
Mm-hmm.
Now that is gone, we have a set of Caribbean leaders who cannot get us to be united as a people and feel proud without a common enemy. And so we have nothing to fight for because back at home, we are divided among our political class.
All right.
And that is showing up in our cricket.
Yeah. Okay, caller, thanks for your intervention.
Well, all that too.
When he's speaking here, just remember the reception Frank Worrell and his team
when
got
they came from Australia,
in Melbourne. Thousands of people lined up the streets
to see them go to the airport.
Motorcade to get to the airport. The Worrell team.
Well, white men watching the black people go to the airport.
Right. That was significant. Thousands on the Melbourne street watching the West Indies open traveling. They were like heroes.
True.
1961. Those were the glory days of West Indies cricket.
Good night, caller.
Glory days.
Hello?
Hello.
Yes?
Ozzy and Sibo.
Yes?
There's no comparison now of West Indies testing. Come on. The type of players we had before was much better.
Mm-hmm.
When our West Indies team would line up in the past, you could know who are the fast bowlers. You know who are the pacemen. You know who would be who.
Holland Griffith.
We gave India 5 love already. We gave England twice 5 love. You know.
Oh yes.
5-0, and we used got a black wash. The type of West Indian power we had when Richard hit a ball. That is 6 or 4, you know. But now whenever I hit a ball, a man on right, he can hit the ball. I mean, so we have no comparison. Also, you remember, I tell you, we spoke about West Indies cricket at the Garvey Hotel.
Oh yes, man. We spoke. Yeah, we named all the tours from 50 to now. Every tour.
Comparison of now, man. Come on, when you had Clyde Walcott hitting a ball and smashing up a chair, who does that now?
Mm-hmm.
Huh?
The great Big Clyde.
Is much different, man, because these fellas bowled with a passion, man. West Hall, Holding, Hillcrest.
Well, we had the greatest cricketer of all time, the great Garfield Sobers. I mean, unbelievable cricketer.
Hit a ball, man. According to Roy Lawrence, that's and Sobers gets back and punches him to the covers for 4.
Yeah. Well, today the Netherlands beating the West Indies.
What do? We don't have this type of cricketers we used to have before.
There's no doubt about it.
We have another caller.
No, the comparison now is and then that West Indies.
But even people like Kali Charan was a great batsman.
You remember Kali Charan in the 75 World Cup?
Yes.
Lily and hooking Lily.
Yes.
The little man, 75.
Or Roy Fredericks and these guys.
But Thompson had Richard had put a spell on Thompson at Kensington, you know.
Okay.
I never forget that knock, man.
Okay, Barry. Thank you.
Okay, Barry.
Thank you. We have another caller.
Different days.
Good night.
Yeah, good night, Sibo and Ozzy.
Yeah, good evening.
Sibo, you talk about the game where the guy told it was whoever he told that he's going to make them grapple.
That was Tony Gregg in 76.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But I watching those games there on social media and those they yet to pick up at least 1 million hits. But the game West Indies lose, I watching that in less than 4 days. I see that at almost 13 million views, 13 million. So I'm saying to myself, but where I am there now? What's really happening? Because where I take my delight is in those old 10th grade games. Because those guys, I cannot believe Netherlands, a West Indian bowler for every ball to the boundary.
Every ball in Super Over.
Every single one of them. I mean, that first match I really watching on social media to see take hits like that. 13 million and counting in
comments.
That have to be a historical game, man.
One of the greatest chases in the history of ODI cricket.
But also even today, that's why you can Oman. You didn't see Oman chase today?
Oman, yes.
Oman scored over 300 something runs.
Yeah. Did they win today?
No,
Oman?
They lost by about 50. Zimbabwe won.
Yes,
but
yes.
They're not going to be an easy team either.
Oman.
For West Indies,
People hardly know what is Oman. West Indies might not beat Oman,
They're taking it for a joke. Good night.
They will not beat Sri Lanka for sure.
Good evening, gentlemen. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening. Good evening.
Yes.
So, gentlemen, I am looking at West Indies cricket today, and I'm saying that the glory days of West Indies cricket are over because two things I'm looking at. The cricketers today, they do not have the commitment of the former cricketers. In other words, the pride playing for West Indies, to me, a lot of those sellers don't have that. Because if you watch them, when they play in the IPL, the kind of way they play, diving for the balls and so on. When they play for West Indies, they don't do that, I think the money has gone up to the head of some of the sellers. They are more interested in playing for IPL and those other leagues.
Oh yes.
Because, and that's another problem. And to just give my view about West Indies and qualification in that thing there, I don't see West Indies qualifying. I would like them to qualify, but then they have too far to go.
2 out of 10 with Sri Lanka, Zimbabwe.
Sri Lanka is ahead of them. Zimbabwe is ahead of them. And far ahead, because they already have 4.1. Zimbabwe have 6 points already.
Yeah,
and
that's right. It's very difficult for us to qualify.
It's going to be very difficult.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
thank you, caller. Well
one
said.
stat that probably can keep West Indies interested. In 2018, Afghanistan went into Super 60s just like West Indies, no points, and they qualified.
As Afghanistan
went in 2018 into the Super 60s like West Indies with no points.
Imagine Afghanistan.
I cannot remember
full member qualifying
who they
long
beat that time. Probably somebody listening can text me and tell me, because in 2018 they went with no points into the Super 60s.
Who they had to play, said?
I can't remember who they. That's what I'm saying. I can't remember now. Probably somebody can check it up. Yeah, they went into Super 60s Afghanistan with no points like West Indies now and qualified. But the circumstances then probably were different because, like I said, tell the caller, hold on. Before, you have 2 teams that have gone in forward with 4 points, whereas West Indies had no points. That's the difference. And West Indies can only have a total of 6. So it's going to be very, very difficult. That's
it sounds very tough for West Indies.
Yes, gentlemen. Good evening. How are you guys doing?
Very good.
Okay, nice program. Let me tell you, it's usually said that if the head is corrupt, then the tail is. No. What is happening with the players on the field now is a reflection of what is happening in the Cricket Board of Control, Because those fellas are in a mess. Those fellas don't know what they're doing from the head to the tail. So the guys on the field is just reflecting what is happening upstairs. So I'm not surprised with what is happening to West Indies cricket right now. When you can tell me an associate team can come and beat West Indies in a super over 30 runs, man, that is unheard of.
It's unbelievable, yes.
Well, Colin making a point. Carl Hooper made a statement 2 weeks ago. And in prophetic words, he said that
Hooper took part in any of the World Cups.
He's the assistant coach.
And I mean, when West Indies were playing the World Cups and winning.
No. West Indies only won twice.
Before Hooper's time.
Yeah, before he said. But he made a comment, and I think this is all the players have said that low, and he warned about something like what is happening now.
Yeah.
And people try to take him to task.
Yeah.
Carl Hooper.
Well, all these teams are getting
Caller,
stronger
you
and
still there?
stronger.
Yeah, I'm still there,
Yeah,
man. I'm still there.
well, you're right.
I'm just so disappointed in what is happening with our cricket right now.
No, well,
And,
most people
I
are
just
stunned,
think-
honestly.
I just think the head needs to stabilize, and when the head stabilizes, I think we will see a better brand of cricket coming from the players, man.
Well, I can tell you what it looks
Well,
like.
you know, Ozzy, two people up there who I feel for. Remember, I was the Windward's manager. Roll Lewis and Darren Sabi.
Oh, yes,
Sabi is the captain.
Roll Lewis.
He's the manager.
He has a permanent job,
he's
a
there.
career job.
Well, he's the manager.
He's,
So
yeah,
this,
but it's 10 years he has a
he's
job.
been there for a while.
Even a while now.
Well, he has
Roll
been there
Lewis
for
is
long,
there
long.
forever, man.
So, look, as two guys who have been around for years, and I feel for them. In fact, I watched Sammy's face, and that is not fun. I can tell you, because you imagine you are coach. First time you become coach, there was some controversy, and for West Indies not to qualify, that is something against you, eh?
Yeah.
Something not to qualify. We have another caller. Good night. Or caller.
Good night. Prior protocol established stipulated to gentlemen. One of your callers made a point that I tried to make several times, in that in those days, West Indian cricketers or West Indians generally had an identifiable enemy, which was colonialism in all its forms. And as I have said, there's a crisis of leadership in the Caribbean, in sports, in politics, in everything. And so the former leaders in the Caribbean, the Barrows, the Bustamante, the Manleys, the Eric Williams, the Compton, the Bradshaw, and these people, they overcame that enemy. Now the leaders we have are supposed to be focusing on leading development, economic development for the people. And they are not doing that. They are not doing that. So there's a crisis. They lack that kind of leadership. All they're about is ego. The little social club they have called CARICOM, that it is a club, is like a club for the upper class. It's not really a club that embodies the Caribbean people per se. Because if you go into CARICOM, have meeting, opposition leaders not there. They make decisions, nothing like that. So it's not only in sport, there's a crisis of leadership.
Okay, caller, we have a number of callers trying to reach us. Thanks for your contribution. Yeah.
Huh? Yeah, we have many callers. People, all the lines are like it. Good night.
Hello.
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 Yeah, Mr. Maynard. Yes, hello. You hearing us?
Good evening.
Can you hear us?
Yeah. I can hear you now.
Yeah, we were talking generally on the decline, the pathetic decline in West Indies cricket from the great glory days of the W's, Ramsey and Valentine, Hall, the great fast bowling battery we had, the great batsmen like Calitran, Richards, the great Lara, and Clive Lloyd and his winning teams. West Indies winning the first 2 World Cups and being finalists in the 3rd World Cup. And today, having to try to qualify to make a World Cup. So we're looking at the general decline, pathetic decline in West Indies cricket. So if you want to contribute, you can. That's what we have been discussing.
Yeah, well, I listened to you guys. I think I heard you mention that you didn't have a program last week.
No, we didn't have. It was hurricane time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of glad because after receiving visitors last week, it was music festival time here in St. Kitts. So I didn't get a chance to listen last week. And I think there was some weather approaching.
Yeah, we had no program. There was a storm around and we couldn't have our program last Thursday. That's true. A storm.
Okay.
Yes. So we had no program.
I'm just happy that I did not miss the program.
Yeah, there was no program.
Last week.
Yeah.
But after I hear you say you didn't have a program, that I felt, a little better.
Mm-hmm.
But the discussion and conversation will continue because you would have rightly stated in reference to the present position the unfortunate position of the West Indies in West Indies cricket throughout the world in terms of where we are. And it's nothing that the over 6 million people in the Caribbean and the many millions outside who follow West Indies cricket, we don't have any reasons to celebrate and to be proud in terms of where we are today. It is a sad state. It is really, really unfortunate, and we have some serious work to do. And there are people who really definitely, if you're not serious about what you want for West Indies cricket, what you are capable in terms of your vision, your ideas, your plans, your program, your policies to develop the cricket in the West Indies, we would have seen around the Caribbean, and even the West Indies board seemed to endorse the 2020 and the 10-10 nonsense, which I call entertaining, and the money cricket. Most of the Caribbean islands have introduced the boards. I think you must have had something like that in Dominica.
Oh yes, 10-10. We have 10-10. Yes.
Yeah, and the people around the Caribbean are celebrating. Imagine cricket, which is just for a few hours, which are just going to entertain you. You're gone home, and it's not going to do nothing in terms of developing the cricket, the standard, really, in West Indies cricket. It's not going to. And especially, as you rightfully stated, where we are in reference to, compared to where we were, are the kind of standard where people around the world used to look forward to see West Indies play, to see West Indies cricketers, them, even just to see them.
Oh yes.
Even if they're not on the field, the pride and everything, that was what the world used to look forward to.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and it is sad that we don't have anything to be proud of, and we are just going down and down and down. So while they're having the money cricket being introduced, as you rightfully mentioned, that Jamaica seem to want to introduce that too. I think most of the Caribbean countries have already, if not all, most of them. And this is what the president or the association in these respective countries have endorsed.
Mm-hmm.
And this thing cannot really develop, players, because players now are just looking forward to just get on the stage, which right now, most cricketers, even before they make the West Indies team, because that is not the goal right now. The goal in the Caribbean is to either make it to the CPL or get a contract to go down to the IPL. That is the goal for most of the cricketers in the West Indies, and that is their thing right now. And just look at it where we are. At it where we are. But I really want to discuss real cricket, with the Test cricket and the big cricket that took place last week, which Australia and England want to go into depth to that, and also the game that is going on right now.
But we have to take a break now, Mr. Menard. Okay, we have to take a break now.
We're taking a break now. We'll be back.
Okay.
In Portsmouth, your suppliers of building materials and hardware products. Over 20 years experience in the business. Rudolph Thomas has lumber and plywood, Portland and tile cement, steel rods, galvanized and fenced pipe, and Rudolph Thomas can meet all your wire needs. Galvanized roofing sheets, doors, windows, toilet sets, face basins, and bidets. PVC piping, fittings, and lattice. Check out Rudolph Thomas for ceramic and vinyl floor and wall tiles, nails, nuts and bolts, paint and painting supplies. And check out their line of electrical and hand tools. And Rudolph Thomas is your one-stop shop for hard-to-find items like fiberglass mat and fiberglass resin and welding rods. Go now to Rudolph Thomas on 1240 Bay Street in Portsmouth. Rudolph Thomas Enterprise in Portsmouth, your suppliers of building materials and hardware products. Over 20 years experience in the business. Rudolph Thomas has lumber and plywood, Portland and tile cement, steel rods, galvanized and fenced pipe, and Rudolph Thomas can meet all your wire needs. Galvanized roofing sheets, doors, windows, toilet sets, face basins, and bidets. PVC piping, fittings, and lattice. Check out Rudolph Thomas for ceramic and vinyl floor and wall tiles, nails, nuts and bolts, paint and painting supplies. And check out their line of electrical and hand tools. And Rudolph Thomas is your one-stop shop for hard-to-find items like fiberglass mat and fiberglass resin and welding rods. Go now to Rudolph Thomas on 1240 Bay Street in Portsmouth.
Hello, yes. Welcome back to Sports Wrap. We're on the home stretch. It's about 7:45. So, see, but we're on the home stretch.
Yeah.
Through this question is declined. Cricket has dominated our discussion for today's Sports Wrap. Of course, there's so much cricket happening as well. The Australians and the Englishmen are locked in battle for the Ashes. And Australia won the first test by 2 wickets, narrowly. It was a close fight, great fight, but Australia won in the end. And now in this test match, so far it looks to be in the balance. It appears to be interesting.
Well, without
who even has the
spinners,
edge?
well,
Without Nathan Lyon.
If you cannot bowl in the match again, Australia will have a problem.
Yeah.
Because
problem.
especially England have to bat last.
Yeah.
So they don't have this deadly weapon.
Spinner, yeah.
Yeah, that could really destroy it.
Yeah.
So if he cannot bowl in the match again.
I think he said he has a calf injury.
Well, that's
which can be a serious injury.
That could be a serious
for prolonged time.
In fact, he could be out of the Ashes. Who knows?
Yeah. Your calf is serious.
Yeah.
So we're hoping for the best, but it's bad news for Australia.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Steve Smith has scored his 32nd
but you know,
test century.
You have to go back to the first test. And, you know, England, they talk about bass ball.
Bass ball, they call it.
But if you have to say ass ball, that's what it is. Because they play like fools. Because
you can't be reckless about it.
I cannot remember the last time I saw Freeman get out stumped in the test match. I don't mind if the wicket is spinning and you push forward but men, it was more run out, Joe Root, way down the wicket.
Yeah.
Moeen Ali, Besto, careless, reckless cricket. Yeah. That's why I say it's not bass ball, it's ass ball. You playing cricket like fools, like idiots. You declare on the first day of a test match for 8 wickets, a man is on 100 going. What kind of cricket is that?
Stokes will say we have to
well, today we didn't see bass ball. We saw Stokes ball blocking.
Stokes blocking.
Because they realized if they go playing the bass ball, even what's his name? At the end of the day, he said that he didn't regret the opening batsman. You are 90th. The bowling bounce.
Oh, you mean Duckett?
Ben Duckett.
Duckett,
you
yeah.
give out. They
They
bounce you about 6 times.
Yeah.
And you fell for that.
Yeah.
And you are 90th.
Yeah.
And you say you do it again.
Yeah.
Because of one way you all want to play.
Yeah.
It's stupidity, that.
Yeah.
You still on the line? So,
Hey, Mr. Miller, are you there with us?
You know?
Are you there with us? We're discussing the test match. And
yes. As I mentioned to you before, this is what I am most interested in. I am not interested in anything to do with entertainment and these guys.
But Mr. Menard, you are West Indian. And to say you're not interested in that, West Indies cricket, the demise of West Indies cricket will affect us all. I mean, we cannot say you're not interested in that.
I think it means the 10-10 version.
No. We were discussing West Indies cricket.
Broadly, West Indies decline.
Yeah, the decline.
Yes.
So to say you're not interested in that, I mean, we're crazy.
Yeah. I want to speak in reference to the first test match. And the first test match after England, they won the toss and they decided to bat. And they end up on day one 298, which yes, England is just happened to be to score very quickly. And this is something very new when it comes to England cricket, because we know before when it comes to test cricket, England used to score very slowly. Mm-hmm. But now they have been scoring very quickly.
They call it basketball cricket.
Yeah. And they decide to declare, and they won 298 for 8, which was a very good position, because at the end of day one, they were 298 for 8, and then Australia were 14 for none. So at the end of day one, you could say England had a slight edge. So then come to day number 2. At the end of day number 2, Australia was 311 for 5. So looking at to score less than 80-something runs with 5 wickets, you give Australia the edge in terms of day 2. And then going into day number 3, England was 28 for 2, right? 28 for 2 with a lead, they led in the first inning with just about 7 runs. So there was 30-something for 2. And then at the end of day 4, which was the very important day going into day number 5, where Australia was 103, 7 for 3, need 173 in all day in day number 5, all day to score 173 runs.
Yeah, they had to score 281 to win the test match, yes. Right. And they won it with 8 wickets down, and it took Cummins and Lyon, a good partnership for the 9th wicket, well over 40 runs to win in the end there. So the Australians won by just 2 wickets. Well, it was a gripping test match, I agree. But in the second test as well, we see England winning the toss, send Australia into bat. And Australia, when you send a team into bat, you hope to bowl that team for less than 200 runs by tea time or just after tea on the first day. But the team scores 416, and you send them into bat.
They scored it quickly as well.
And Australia scored very quickly. Was that a right decision by Stokes? I don't know. Time will tell.
But we also have to congratulate Australia, because Australia have the 3 top batsmen, the ranked batsmen in Test cricket, number 1, number 2, and number 3, right? And that guy Head, who just came on the scene.
Oh, Head's a terror boy. Yeah.
Look at the difference. Look at the many players who have been around in terms of West Indies cricket for many years. The Blackwood and I mean,
Blackwood and Bonner.
All of them. This guy just came in. Just remember the other day, that he got left out in a series for Australia. Just the other day, less than 2 years, right? And now he got his chance again consistently, he started to produce in terms of runs, and he put him at the number 3 ranked batsman in Test cricket. And the 2 top players in Australia did not perform in the first test, and Australia win the test match. And we also have to commend Steve Smith, because this man, 99 test match, he's going to play his 100th test match very shortly. And we have to commend him. A tremendous record. 3,200s clocking in terms of a test average, almost 60. Almost 60 with a whopping over 9,000 test runs. A tremendous performer. And just remember a couple of years ago that you all were saying that, oh, his technique and this and different things. And I was saying that remember that form is temporary and class is permanently. Great players do have bad time. That don't mean that because you're down, you're out.
Yeah.
And he just happened to had a bad lean, just like Coley had a bad lean. He happened with Root, and he happened also with Williamson, and they happened to come back.
By the way, let me just tell listeners that Root has now joined the top 10 scorers in Test cricket of all time, the top 10 scorers. And quickly I can look at them. Sachin Tendulkar, highest scorer in the history of Test cricket, 15,921 runs. Ponting is second with 13,378. Jack Callis, number 3, 13,289. Rahul Dravid, number 4, 13,288. Alistair Cook, 12,472. Sangakkara, 12,400. The great Brian Lara, 11,953. Chandapal, 11,867. Jayawardena, 11,814. And Joe Root joins the top 10 of all time. He's now on 11,178. But the point you're making about Steve Smith, of course, is very instructive. What I like about Steve Smith is he began his career as a bowler with the bat number 8. His first 15 test matches or so on, he was picked as a bowler, and he developed into possibly, arguably, the world's greatest test batsman today. Plus, I still rate his fielding, his slip fielding to me is outstanding and out of this world. So Steve Smith to me deserves all the kudos he has to get.
And in terms of the top 10, you would have realized just about the first 4 or 5, all of them would have played. So is
over 100 tests.
Them in terms of their test runs. Is expected they would have played most of them to a Tendulkar definitely
200 tests.
The most test matches.
By
right?
far, yeah.
And so he expected to score the most hundreds, which he scored, and the only one to score 100 won the international 100, right? And
say that again.
No.
That's not
say
correct.
it again. Say it again.
That's not correct. He made 100
international centuries in Test and ODIs.
Yeah, 100 international centuries.
Yeah, that's correct.
Right.
That's correct now. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So you expect, if you play 200 test match, you should expect to score the most test runs.
Yeah. Well, I think they said Smith was he might be the fastest or the second fastest to 9,000. He's got past 9,000 and he's played 99 tests, batted 174 innings. I think they said he's the fastest to 9,000 test runs, and I think Sangakkara might have been the first. I'm not too sure about that, but Smith is right up there in terms of how quickly he got to 9,000 test runs. And he's only played 99.
If Smith have to say play
150 tests,
matches,
yeah,
I believe that he will score the most runs in Test cricket, which he will take over Tendulkar's record, and Tendulkar definitely would have played far more Test matches than him.
Well, time will tell that.
I also want to say, because we definitely need to commend Sangakkara. You're talking about a specialist wicket keeper, and look at it. Look at his record. He would have batted just about most of the time at number 3. Mm-hmm. You don't normally have Test wicket keepers batting at number 3, right? So he would have batted in the top 3 for his country. And look at his record. Look at his
think
record.
he has 11 test double centuries, you know. He has about 10 or 11 test double centuries in tests. The highest after Don Bradman, Sangakkara.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we have to definitely commend him.
Oh, yes.
For his outstanding performance.
Yeah.
And as I said, we are very happy for the kind of quality cricket which we would have witnessed. And look at the crowd that we would have seen in England. People coming out, a packed stadium, a packed house to watch Test cricket.
Well, let's take up in. You didn't see the crowd watching Zimbabwe, Ozzy?
Yeah. Zimbabwe, a big crowd.
Even outside the ground, they had people watching. They had screens.
Yes.
And that's why that could propel these people to the World Cup. They played. The crowd is like the 12th man for Zimbabwe.
Very good crowd.
By the way, tomorrow at 3 o'clock in Sri Lanka and the Netherlands, that'll be interesting.
Netherlands has been interesting at 3 o'clock.
Tomorrow morning.
Yeah. And Australia and West Indies. Australia scored 416. England had 260 odd?
For 4.
For 4.
It's evenly poised.
But
with the spinner injury.
Spinner's injury is a serious factor. Yeah, certainly, you're right. Mr. Mayor, you have to wind up now.
Close up now.
We have only 30 seconds left.
Well, thanks very much. But I just want to ask Sebastian a question because he would have named the 18-man squad. And I want to ask him about one of his favorite players, Holder. What happened to Holder?
What happened to Holder?
What happened to him? Well, like every cricketer, I mean, he has his days. I mean, he's like I said, Grace, he's still West Indies' best cricketer. People can say what they want. He's the best cricketer in the Caribbean. He went for a rough time. I was stunned myself to see him being hit for 30 runs. I mean, who wouldn't be?
I was shocked myself.
I feel for him.
I think
I feel for him.
I think he's still up 4 or 5 nights having nightmares.
But Sebastian, you're saying that he's the West Indies' best cricketer.
Yes.
The West Indies, you're talking about record. You're not talking about performance. You're not talking about form.
I say he's the best cricketer we have. I mean, okay, who has form in the West Indies? Tell me. What do you say? Who has form?
West Indies has no top
cricketer
today.
Tell me who has form. Who's outstanding?
There's no outstanding West Indies cricketer today.
Answer that
except
question.
Hope playing one-day cricket.
Yeah.
Only Hope in 1 day. One-day cricket. Otherwise, West Indies, they have no stars today. I think we have come to the end of our program, Mr. Minad.
Okay.
So we have to say good night.
To continue, by this time next week, we will know the results in terms of the second Test match. Looking forward for Australia to be 2 up. And as you mentioned, in terms of the spin bowler,
yes.
I think Lamachade would have to do some spin, some bowling.
But Head is not a bad bowler at all, Head, Travis Head.
Right, and also Smith, who, as
Smith,
you rightfully stated, made the team more as a bowler and has developed to be one of Australia's best.
Of all time. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Minad. Thank you much. And let me say bye-bye to listeners all around the globe listening to Sports Wrap of the Lewis. Sign off on behalf of Locker Sebastian, Lambert Charles on the console. I'm saying good evening until next week, Thursday, for another interesting program called Sports Wrap. Bye-bye.
Rudolph Thomas Enterprise in Portsmouth, your suppliers of building materials and hardware products. Over 20 years experience in the business. Rudolph Thomas has lumber and plywood, Portland and tile cement, steel rods, galvanized and fenced pipe, and Rudolph Thomas can meet all your wire needs. Galvanized roofing sheets, doors, windows, toilet sets, face basins, and bidets. PVC piping, fittings, and lattice. Check out Rudolph Thomas for ceramic and vinyl floor and wall tiles, nails, nuts and bolts, paint and painting supplies. And check out their line of electrical and hand tools. And Rudolph Thomas is your one-stop shop for hard-to-find items like fiberglass mat and fiberglass resin and welding rods. Go now to Rudolph Thomas on 1240 Bay Street in Portsmouth.